So we had a strong roster of games from Microsoft this year, and the important note here is that it was a Microsoft conference and not an Xbox one. They really pushed the idea of cross-platform play, and the idea of playing anywhere, buy a game once and have it on all devices, which I can only support fully. And it's brilliant to finally be able to start playing with players from both PC and Xbox in a game, as it means the player base for any game will be significantly boosted. It should make life a lot easier to find people to play with, and it should keep games alive for longer than they have been before. So the conference announced some new hardware, or just repackaged hardware to be precise. The new Xbox One S, a 40% smaller console with HDR and 4K video streaming at a cheaper price. A solid proposition, I suppose, for those looking for a new Xbox One. Well, why you would, I don't know, but yeah, some people are. The reason I bring this up, though, is I'm confused. They announced that they're working on a Project Scorpio, the next Xbox console. The funny thing is, though, that they are kind of saying that the Xbox One S is now old. You're going to be buying old generations of hardware, yet it isn't even out. It just seemed like a strange way of going. Though it is good to hear that they are pushing power for the next console. Obviously, even though they're trying to tout this 4K, it's not going to be 4K 60 FPS, but I hope that they push for 1080p at 60 FPS at least for all their titles this time round. Just get rid of this useless 30 FPS mentality. Sadly, I bet for PR reasons, they're going to push 4K at 30 FPS, and it's going to be like this generation, a stuttery mess at 20 FPS just to try and get that resolution that realistically isn't as good as getting that extra frame rate. But yeah, it's just interesting to see what they're doing. So on the game side of things, Gears of War 4 was shown off, some good gameplay, it seems like a very solid combat style, and as someone who hasn't played a Gears game before, I'm particularly interested in playing it. Most notably, you can play with Xbox players in co-op together, which is fantastic. I'm always down for more players to be able to play with one another or on whatever system. I've never liked the idea of having to split people across different systems and so splitting the player base for any game. Interestingly, the performance was pretty impressive from the video, and I was wondering how the Xbox was achieving it, but then I realised that it was actually probably just a PC running it, and they conveniently didn't point that out. But if it was an Xbox, then props to that, but I really think it was probably a PC. Hopefully this game turns out well. There's not long until it's released on October 11th, so we should find out soon enough. Forza Horizon 3, the latest driving game to hit the scene, is set in Australia with an open world that looks beautiful, and seeing as our latest bit of fiasco with Forza Motorsport on PC, it's great to see them confirming that in fact wheels do work. Furthermore, the co-op across platforms, so like the ability to play with 4 players across any of the platforms, Xbox and PC, is again fantastic to see. So a few brief mentions of games that I'm not really interested in going into depth on, but they looked cool and I'll keep an eye on anyway over the next few months, is the game Inside, which looks creepy and awesome. Minecraft has some interesting updates coming. State of Decay 2 was announced, and the big one, even though it's a card game, was The Witcher Gwent card game, which is getting a fully fledged release, which admittedly does look cool. I never really got into it in the actual Witcher game, but it is a big thing that people have really loved, so it's great to see that getting more love. Now, a game of particular interest to me is We Happy Few, a twisted game set in England involving drug-induced happiness, and yeah, it looks fantastic. It had a great trailer and snippets of gameplay. It's coming July 26th on Steam Early Access, and I really hope it's not a letdown, and specifically supports us well. I'll be covering it on the channel here, so be sure to keep an eye out for it. And the same goes for pretty much anything I talk about here. I'll try and cover everything I can to let you guys know the state of each game before you buy it. Dead Rising 4 had its announcement with no gameplay, just a CGI trailer, so we don't know anything about it, just that it exists. The last one was a horrendous PC port, so hopefully this goes better. Now, second to last, Scalebound got a bit of gameplay to show off what it is, and well, I don't really know what to make of it. I'm going to have to play this before I understand what it's attempting to achieve, or they're going to have to explain it better. Because the gameplay they showed really told me absolutely nothing. It looked like it was an okay fighting style with some just huge boss, but it was more that the boss was huge and that was the epic part, rather than actually the rest of the game. So yeah, rather strange. Now the last game that really genuinely is a favourite of mine is Sea of Thieves. Thankfully we got to see gameplay for it. It's so gorgeous, it has a beautiful art style, the world feels great and the combat really intense, with great freedom to roam around your ship. I do wonder if there is actually off-ship gameplay. It would be really interesting to see if you can leave and if there's anything other than that. Because whilst the ship gameplay is awesome, I don't know what the longevity to that would be. But yeah, Rare seems to have a potential big success here. And we're just going to have to wait and see before we can find out more info on it. I'm absolutely going to be keeping an eye on this. Now, of course, the fact that Microsoft is supporting Windows 10 so greatly here is fantastic to see, but the sad fact is they insist on doing it with the Windows Store, which is just so damn far from a good way of supporting us. So when it comes to ultra-wide gaming, we're at total mercy to them for their own titles, as we can't mod them, and we need them to actually patch the game to support 21:9. Quantum Break is the perfect example of something that we're probably never going to see ultra-wide support for, and yet Gears of War has proved that it can come. So we're in a bit of limbo. It's a total guess what the future will look like for any game that they release. We can't say that the new Gears of War game will have support just because the previous one has had it on Windows 10. So yeah, it's just a toss of a coin. We really don't know, which isn't the greatest thing to have to be able to say. Now, the big point that kept recurring within this conference was cross-platform play, and I can without a doubt say it's something I've wanted ever since I first played on a 360, and some of my friends had PS3s, and we just wanted to play together. It's going to definitely boost Xbox and Windows 10 as the better gaming platforms, and I really hope the PlayStation at least works with getting Windows 10 to work with PlayStation consoles. Obviously, it's unlikely Xbox and PlayStation will ever work together, but at least supporting Windows and PlayStation together would be a step up. Otherwise, it is a big loss for that platform, in my opinion. Anyway, I want to know what you guys thought of Microsoft's conference. We have an epic week of pure epic gaming announcements. For anything 21.9, be sure to check out my channel, and for any other content on the E3 conferences, again, check out my channel. I'm trying to cover every single one of the conferences and my favourite parts of them. See you later.